So touring acts, are very urban centric, and the majority of communities are underserved by the arts. And so you have this desperate need on both sides. You have artists who are dying for gigs, and you've got tons of people with great taste and who love the arts, but who are not getting out to see it for whatever reason: proximity to venues, kids, convenience, all of those things. And so what if we had a marketplace where all of those people could find each other and put on great shows? The return on their investment for the artist is way higher because in theory, many of these venues, the rent is already paid and people are doing it out of a labor of love. And so that's how we began, was truly this, and I hate to use the analogy, but it does make sense. People have said, the Airbnb for shows, this idea that it's just a place where people find each other and a transaction happens. And so we built a ticketing IP where you would sell tickets and that revenue would get held in escrow, and you could negotiate a unique split between the venue and the artist. And then as soon as the show's over, everybody just gets paid automatically based on that pre-negotiated split. And that was sort of the fundamental thing that we built. And we had a great year after our launch. We had about 2,500 artists join, 900 venues in North America, ran about close to 700 shows on the platform. And then, of course, COVID hits and everything comes to a screeching halt. We built a platform about gathering. All of a sudden, we can't gather.
I think our response was, okay, let's go back to the office. And we just started canceling shows and putting out messages and just doing the work. And, after that, we went back and had some pizza and we're communicating with the team. And, at the same time, Dan was on tour, had a bunch of sold out shows, was facing his own crisis of his own personal music career of like, what does that look like, and canceling all those shows. But within a couple of weeks, we had turned we had started with this concept of online shows, and Dan was the guinea pig, as he always is. And, in a way, it was like reinventing the company and going back to MVP style stuff and really trying to understand what the new KPIs are and that sort of thing. And what was helpful is that our core vision of supporting artists first and foremost and looking for that connectivity that is grown out of live performance audiences with artists, audiences, with each other, and people who are hosting, that all is still in place. And we are fundamentally a marketplace too. And so sort of being able to democratize the live entertainment industry in a way that anybody can not only view and listen to these shows, but take part in an active way with the skill set that they can bring, is really important to us. So I remember, we went from, in Dan's case, he's described it as being in the fetal position. And in our case, it was just shock, really, of just, I don't remember a lot of emotion. I remember being pretty numb. And then I do remember right after Dan did the first show on Zoom, which we have used all the time because we're on opposite coasts as founders. I remember calling him and having tears in my eyes because I was so moved. I was so moved because I think up until that point, I hadn't let myself consider the possibility that we would never gather and have live music together again. And then when I saw what he was able to create with this show, it made me believe that we had a future and that we could be part of that future and we could help artists understand how to do this, help audiences understand how to do this. And so that was the starting point.
Damn all the pretenders, damn all the reasons why.
It's been a remarkable ride. We had, like 3,000% ticket sales increase from February to May. So it's insane.
I think the interesting thing that we were able to accomplish with by using Zoom rather than just how a lot of people just went to streaming platforms, was that if music is like the nucleus of the situation, it's the reason people are buying tickets. It's sort of like the magnet that's drawing all these people in with a shared taste. But truly what you're buying when you go to a concert is not just the experience of watching talented people do something. You're buying the experience of witnessing it with like-minded people. You're with your community. And so it's one thing to adore an artist. It's another thing to adore being a part of the community that adores that artist. And hopefully when you leave a concert, you are impressed. But even more so, hopefully when you leave a concert, you are moved and you feel like you've experienced something that is of existential value, that feels heavy. You know, maybe you laughed, maybe you cried, maybe you did both. And maybe because of that, you feel injected with enough sort of like life fuel to get you through the next little while. And so, you know, our task was, okay, well, the tech is not perfect. It's not going to sound perfect. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get that thump of a kick drum in your gut the way you would at a club. So assuming that, you know, like rather than just trying to make the best version that is inherently crappy of this other thing, why not lean into this medium and say, what is great about it? And so using moderators and hosts, having, you know, run of shows where you bring in people from the audience, maybe you vetted them prior, to talk with the artist, to have an experience, to tell a story about a song, about an album. And for that interaction to be spontaneous and real and human. And then what happens is that, you know, with these shows, if you have 1,000 people, 25 people per page on gallery view, and you're flipping through, honestly, the people watching is part of the experience.